I'm Donna Murphy. I'm the Vice Chancellor for University Relations at UC Santa Cruz, and I'm co-emceeing today's event, and I want to welcome you. Thank you. This is the 2010 Community Assessment Project Year 16 News Conference and Celebration. 16 years, really great. It is my privilege to represent UC Santa Cruz, which is one of the co-hosts for today's celebration, along with the Central California Alliance for Health. Let me first present Mayor Mike Rotkin to come welcome us to the fair city of Santa Cruz. Mike.
Well, I have to say that the Community Assessment Project is a very, very important project to the city of Santa Cruz and to our county and our community as a whole. You really can't fix the world and make things better if you don't have some idea of where you are now. It's hard to get someplace if you're not sure where you're starting. And this project really gives us a sense of how we fit together as a community. It's not a single issue that we're studying. It's how all the various aspects of the community fit together. And it's such a great privilege to be able to host this event today. And the city of Santa Cruz is currently going through a process where we're reorganizing how we fund social services and human service programs. It's not going to be an easy process, but this assessment project is absolutely key to how we proceed in that. Having some idea of what the needs are in this community and how they fit together, we simply couldn't do that process of changing that structure in a way that be more responsive to the needs of people in our community if we didn't have this. So this is an important event. This report is incredibly important to us, I think, throughout the community. And I think the most important thing to keep in mind is thinking about ourselves as a community and accepting the idea that we have responsibility for what goes on here. There are a lot of impacts on us that we don't control. We live in a wider world. We certainly don't control the world economy and how it impacts us at this point quite negatively. But we do have the ability, if we come together and see ourselves as a community, to actually make a difference and change our world. And so this project, which started 16 years ago fairly modestly, has become a very, very important project for this community. I'm glad you're all here today, and I'm really pleased to have this happening here in the city of Santa Cruz because we really see ourselves as part of this process. Welcome.
It is the 16th year of what is a nationally recognized project. It's kind of our community report card. And each year it becomes even more important, I think partly because of the cumulative picture it gives us of what's happening in our county. It's become a very valuable tool, as Mike Rotkin pointed out, for all of us who are working in social services. And it's a really delight to be a part of it today. It's been made possible all these years because of the consistent support of our sponsors, and there are 21 of them listed in your program this year. And I'd like to give them a big round of applause. I also want to thank and recognize the Community Assessment Report Steering Committee and its chair, Dr. George Wolf. If you're part of the steering committee, raise your hand so people can see you. There you go. Great. And now let me introduce my co-MC today, Alan Mckay, who is the Executive Director of the Central California Alliance for Health. Alan.
Good morning, everybody. You know, Mary Lou called me and said, would you help MC this event today? And I said, well, Mary Lou, why me? Is it because deep down you know by my deeds and action that I too am a hero? And she said, no. And then I said, well, is it just that I look like a hero? No. And I said, well, then why me? And she said, Alan, you're one of the few people I know who can go through an entire hour meeting without constantly checking your BlackBerry. So folks, that's why I'm here today, so bear with me. The Community Assessment Project is really a joint venture of many individuals and organizations. I thank the United Way of Santa Cruz County for beginning and sustaining the project, and Applied Survey Research for administering the community survey, conducting the research, and publishing the report. Dominican Hospital as well has, for the life of the project, produced the Summer Report magazine and distributed it to every household in the county. And many copies are available here today at the table in the lobby for you to take with you. The Santa Cruz Sentinel each year has sponsored the Community Heroes nominations process, and this year the Good Times sponsored an extensive survey online so that we could all also participate that way, and help in setting community goals for the year 2015. So to all of you, thanks for your consistent support. Okay, so with those thanks out of the way, I want to introduce the speakers that we have for you today to talk about year 16 of the Community Assessment Project. First up, we're going to hear from Dr. Barbara Pala, a colleague of mine from Central California Alliance for Health, who will present the health findings. Then we'll hear from Barbara Scherer, CFO of Plantronics, who will report the economy findings. Third, Renee Kilmer, Vice President of Instruction, Cabrillo College, will report on education. Fourth, Nancy Vale, Farm Programs Director of Pie Ranch. And I must say, if you've never ridden your bicycle or driven up to Pie Ranch for a slice of pie, you must do that. She'll present the natural environment findings. Fifth, we'll hear from Police Chief Manny Solano of Watsonville, who joins us today here on a furlough day. Thank you, Manny. And he'll present the public safety findings. And finally, Betty Saxon of ATT will present the social environment findings. So, Barbara Pala, take it away.
Good morning. Our community chose 4 health goals for 2010. The first goal is that local residents will have increased access to primary, specialty, and emergency care so that people in our community can get the right kind of care they need when they need it. Whether or not you can get the right kind of care you need when you need it is highly dependent on whether or not you have health insurance. Before the economic downturn, Santa Cruz County made great strides toward expanding health insurance coverage to children, covering almost every local kid with some type of program. This was due in large part to the work of the Healthy Kids of Santa Cruz, who enrolled over 15,000 kids in either Medi-Cal, Healthy Families, or Healthy Kids. However, with the economic downturn, we're seeing increasing numbers of uninsured children and adults locally. Today, about 5,000 area children and 50,000 area adults have gone without health insurance during this past year. The Latino community has suffered the most, where insurance coverage rates have fallen to about 50%. There is some good news. Healthcare reform is expected to dramatically reduce the number of uninsured in our community as well as the nation over the next 3 years. Already, some healthcare reform provisions are in place which help. For example, parents can now keep their unmarried children on their health insurance plan through age 26. This is important because the age group of young adults is the age group most likely to go uninsured. Also, health plans can no longer deny coverage to children based on the fact that they have a pre-existing health condition. By 2014, it's expected that across the nation, 32 million more Americans will be able to get coverage. And locally, we estimate that about 17,000 of our local residents who are currently uninsured will become eligible for Medi-Cal alone. But healthcare reform won't help everyone because it doesn't help our local residents who are not citizens. So let's recognize our local safety net clinics who will continue to keep their doors open to everybody, regardless of insurance status. So how can we help? In this holiday season, if you're considering giving a gift to a low-income child, think about giving the gift of health insurance. You can do so by donating to the Healthy Kids program of Santa Cruz at www.schealthykids.org. That's www.schealthykids.org. Our second goal is that local physicians will increase the use of electronic health records to improve safety and enhance healthcare delivery. In this area, we've done very, very well. 68% of our local docs are using an electronic health record, which far exceeds the national average of 44%. Electronic health records are important not only in finally solving the problem of poor doctor handwriting, but also because they organize your health information so that your doctor has the kind of data needed at their fingertips, things like your health history, lab test results, allergies, so that the decisions that are made are more informed, safer, and more efficient. So thank you to our local docs who took the leap to put an electronic health record into their practice. The third goal is that by 2010, more residents will receive education about their end-of-life choices and document their choices in an advance directive. An advance directive is a written document that allows us to record the end-of-life treatment that we want, any religious or spiritual wishes that we may have, and also allows us to name someone who can speak for us in the event that we are unable to speak for ourselves. CAP survey shows that we're doing very well among our Caucasian population, where 52% of respondents report that they have such a directive. Among the Latino population, however, the rates are very low. Only 8% of our Latino respondents had an advance directive. So clearly we have more work to do in the area of developing strategies that are culturally sensitive and appropriate for our Latino community. And our final goal is that by the year 2010, the prevalence of childhood obesity will decrease by 5%. Overall, Santa Cruz children and youth have less overweight and obesity than state average, than counties across the state. Although we have not been able to reduce the prevalence of childhood obesity, we are beginning to see a leveling off of the rates, and that's a good sign, probably reflecting a lot of the work done by our Go for Health coalition. The picture is very different, however, for our low-income children. Low-income children in Santa Cruz County have some of the highest overweight rates in the state, and the state has some of the highest overweight rates in the nation. So clearly we need to redouble our efforts to outreach to low-income families to help resolve this disparity. Finally, I want to touch base on an issue that's of concern to our local pediatricians, and that is our falling immunization rates. Over the past decade, local immunization levels have fallen by 7%. And that may sound like a small drop, but it is a critical drop because our current levels of immunization are not sufficient enough to achieve community immunity to pertussis, which is whooping cough. Community immunity occurs when the level of vaccination for a particular disease is maintained at a high level within a population so that that disease is unlikely to spread throughout the population and that any individuals who are unvaccinated get some type of protection against getting the disease. Our current immunization levels are below that needed to sustain community immunity to pertussis, which is commonly known as whooping cough. So far this year, we've had 63 cases of whooping cough in our county, mostly in tiny infants. Statewide, there are close to 7,000 cases. That's 6 times the number of cases of whooping cough we had last year. It's more than the number of cases of whooping cough during any year since 1947. 10 infants have died. All 10 of these infants were too small to get the whooping cough vaccine themselves. But had the community around them had higher levels of immunization, they would have been protected. So what can we do to break the spread of whooping cough in our community? If you are a parent, make sure your child's vaccines to pertussis are up to date. It's also recommended that adults get a booster of pertussis. So if you haven't had one, talk to your doctor about the appropriate timing for getting a booster shot. Local immunization rates are far below the state average, so we are at risk for losing community immunity to other diseases as well. In a time when there is much fear about vaccines, we need to pull together as a community and weigh all available information so that together we can chart a course that best protects our kids. Well, I hope this has given you a sense of how we're doing as we move toward reaching our community goals. Improving health in the community is a responsibility that we all share, and each of us has something unique to bring to that process. On behalf of the Health Improvement Partnership, I want to thank Mary Lou and the United Way for continuing to track this important data, because the data continues to serve as a spur to us toward action. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Barbara Scheer, and I'm here to talk about our economic indicators. And I want to put it in context by noting that from January 2008 to June of 2009, the U.S., of course, experienced the Great Recession, losing over 8 million jobs, and unemployment rose to 10%. So it's no surprise that many of our Santa Cruz County economic indicators mirror this larger ecosystem. 3 indicators in particular give us the data on the pain index locally. Unemployment is at 11% as of August 2010, up from just 5 to 6% in the good years of 2000, 2006, and 2007. But it is down from what appears to have been a peak of 11.3% in 2009. And our county is actually moving down from the peak, while California and the nation broader are still moving up. Our county is moving down from the peak unemployment. Foreclosures are nearly 5 times as high as they were in 2005, and they're still rising in 2009. And economic well-being, a good overall measure that only 20.1% of us said that we feel financially better off in 2009 than we did in 2008, and it was by far the lowest measure of the entire decade, and it's on a down trend for the entire period. So that's not surprising, but it's definitely not good. The good news is that despite all of that, we do have a few pockets of real strength in our local economy and areas that we've been focused on in terms of our economic goals. If you have a child who is a strong swimmer and dreams of competing on the world stage, you do what it takes to support her to make it to the Olympics someday, right? So putting the swimmer in the ocean, let's focus on our areas of strength and think about what we can do to develop these muscles even further. Tourism. Every category in the tourism revenue has been trending up. Santa Cruz is known around the world. Our physical beauty and our uniqueness make us of interest to many travelers. We definitely need to continue to support tourism and capitalize on this. What if we took a page from the European playbook and allowed a couple full-service beach zones where you could rent tables, chairs, umbrellas, and be in walking distance of food and drink and avoid all that schlepping back and forth? That would be a big draw, and it would be very, very unique. Agriculture. Agriculture has the single best trend of any of our indicators, with about 40% dollar growth in production value since 2000. It even managed to eke out a small gain in 2009 versus 2008. And within that overall category of crop production value, there are some stunning success stories in there. Strawberries up almost 61% since 2002. Raspberries more than doubling, and flowers tripling. So, you know, hats off to Jess Brown and our agricultural community broadly. They're doing a great job capitalizing on trends, competing and winning, and growing the business and the value of agriculture in the economy. But let me link that to an indicator that, well, it's not bad. It's falling way short of the California trend, and that is per capita taxable sales in the retail category of eating and drinking. I feel like an economy, Academy Award category here. The state is growing twice as fast as we are, yet we have all this locally available produce, we have growth in tourist dollars, and even growth in household income, yet our eating and drinking establishments aren't enjoying nearly the growth they could, half the growth of California broadly. We may need more restaurants with more accessible and safe parking, but the food here is amazing, right? We can all do more to promote our restaurants and get others to come over here. It's a big opportunity for growth. Retail overall is a big opportunity for growth. Total sales in Santa Cruz County have only grown about 5% since 2001. California has grown 4 times that rate. And yet, here in Santa Cruz County, we do have a lower unemployment rate than California. We do have this growing visitor base. Why are so many of our retail categories doing so much worse than the California averages? Household appliance dealers grew 16% in Santa Cruz County, but California grew 53%. Building materials in Santa Cruz County are down 20%. They're flat for California. And general merchandise in Santa Cruz is flat, but it's up 9% for California. If we were just keeping pace with the California trends, we'd have more jobs, more tax dollars, and almost assuredly an improvement in overall economic well-being. There is a lot to do here. Consumers are value conscious and they want selection. We fall short in those categories. Consumers need to feel safe when they shop and have basic conveniences such as bathrooms and parking. We can improve in these areas. You know, we have a diamond in the rough. We can improve on this. And we need to do this so that we grow our share of our own dollars and attract dollars from over the hill. So a couple of indicators on housing now. So while the cost of housing in Santa Cruz County makes this one of the least affordable areas in the United States, the percent of homes affordable for median income families has been on a positive long-term trend in the county, rising from less than 10% earlier in the decade to 34% in 2010. And that's down slightly from hitting 50% in 2007. So we got a little setback from the recession, but we are actually on a good trend there. Home ownership was at 68% in 2009, up from about 55% at the start of the decade, and higher than all other years except 2007 as well. And finally, median family income is rising. And here we have data right up to this year, and it rebounded sharply from recession levels, and it's at the highest level in the decade. This is encouraging, and it suggests we should be experiencing better times now. As the CFO of Plantronics, I can tell you, for example, that our hiring is up 8% from the recession lows in June of 2009. So, you know, to business owners broadly, I say compete and win the business that's out there. Grow your business, grow the overall pie for Santa Cruz. To community leaders, I say we need the basic foundations. We need a good school system so that business owners and employees want to live here, and we need a safe environment so that when we go out, work and shop, we all feel comfortable. Thank you very much, and I'll turn over to Renee.
Well, good morning. It's good to see you all here, that there's so much interest in our community and the areas that impact all of us in the community: health, education, business. So I've been asked to speak a little bit about the education report, and I'm Renee Kilmer from Cabrillo College. So I'll just give you a couple of highlights about it. And so the good news, according to this report, is that our local youth have been improving in their proficiency in language arts and math over the past 5 years, up through the 9th grade. That's very good news. We hear all the time, we see in the newspapers and hear on the news the decline in education across the country, across the state, and it's all gloom and doom. And in fact, we find that in Santa Cruz County, our teachers and administrators and students or parents are all doing something right, because there have been some significant gains, particularly in language arts. So in language arts and English, third graders' reading scores are up 6% since 2005. They're a little bit down over last year, but largely there's been a steady increase in the reading scores at the third grade level. It's a little lower than the state average at that grade level. Our students are at 37% of our students in the third grade score at or above the California Standards test. In math, on the other hand, very good news is that our third graders are 13% higher since 2005. And that's pretty remarkable when you think about the struggles that students have in mathematics. And we surpassed the state increase, so that's very good news. For students between the 5th and 9th grades, we see significant increases in language arts, anywhere from 10 to 14% higher in their proficiency, depending upon the grade level. And in math, all grades increased in the various math courses: general math, algebra, etc., except for geometry. That one's still giving our kids some trouble, I think. The bad news is that we don't see such increases at high school. The trends in high school are slight increases at best in language arts and other general fields, and in mathematics they largely decrease. And that's troublesome for us, and it's a challenge we'll have to take on of what is occurring, what's the difference between these large increases in K through 9 and then a sudden precipitous drop in high school. So that is something certainly worthy of more investigation from us. We find, however, that the dropout rate is lower. We've gone from 21% to 14% high school dropout rate. It's very good news there. Well, what does this all mean to us? The students, when they graduate, if they don't drop out, they're graduating, generally speaking, with lower English and math skills. And of course, they can't get into a university with that. Our SATs are down somewhat. They can come to the community college. We're open access, Cabrillo College, for instance. But when they get to us, they're below college level in reading and math and writing. So we develop programs for them. There are an array of programs around the county to assist students in these particularly what we call developmental skills. And one of the most successful and prominent, for instance, is First Five. First Five, you all know, is for preschool. Well, why do we think about preschool when we're talking about K-12 and college? Well, we know that children who have a good preschool education, they learn the connection between symbols and language, symbols and meaning, can then go on by the time they reach the first grade, and they're well poised to do well in reading and arithmetic. And at each grade level, they increasingly succeed. Once a child gets behind in one grade level, they are perpetually behind, and the gap grows larger. And unfortunately, there's a connection here between socioeconomics and that success in school as well. And children from a lower socioeconomic background have a greater gap, and that results in what you often hear about the achievement gap, another serious concern for us to address. Other programs in the county, there's the Raising a Reader weekly rotating book program. which is successful, and of course, high-quality early childhood education programs are very important to addressing these concerns. And as I mentioned at the colleges, cohort learning has become a very effective way of helping students who, whether they graduate high school and manage to find their way back to college through the community college, or whether they go directly, cohort learning, that is, students take several courses together, and it mimics, in a way, the kind of educational experience they're used to, where they know their peers, they can depend on them, they make friends who help one another in and out of the classroom. So the challenges are many for us, but we also have great opportunities ahead of us. It's imperative that early childhood education preschool programs, K-12, community college, and the university work together to address these challenges. And in doing so, that provides us with the opportunities to collaborate, to come up with joint programs, and work together. Really work on maximizing our resources as an educational body, rather than thinking always in terms of completely separate bodies trying to address this group or that group. And I think that we're very fortunate to live in Santa Cruz County, where we have a largely highly educated population who are very interested in education and improving the chances for our children to have a better education as well. And with that, I will leave it to Stacy. I'm sorry. Nancy.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So this is the week I'm going to be speaking on the natural environment. My name is Nancy Vale. I'm from Pie Ranch, just up the coast north of Davenport. And as you all know, this is the week that many of us follow the tradition of giving thanks. We gather family and friends, and we focus on what we are grateful for. And after reading the 2010 indicators of how we are doing relative to the natural environment, we do have a lot to be thankful for. We live in one of the most spectacular stretches of coast on the planet, with rolling pastures greening up after these fresh rains, filling creeks and rivers, with winding through tall redwood forests, through some of the most productive farmland in the world, that give way to estuaries and sloughs teeming with bird and aquatic life that mixes into the vast, cool, blue Pacific waters. Any day of the week now, we can visit farmers markets and find the fresh bounty of local food from the land and sea that ends up on our plates and nourishes us. We indeed have much to be thankful for, and as the indicators suggest, much to be proud of in how we've changed our behaviors. Let me give you some examples. We are using less water. We're reducing the amount of waste that ends up in the landfill. We are driving less. We're conserving in our homes. We have supported the protection of lands, both open space and agricultural. All of these indicators suggest that we're headed in the right direction. Yet, our work of changing our own behaviors is not over. We still are resistant to hopping on our bikes or on a bus instead of into our cars. It is still often hard to find the right receptacle for waste that can be recycled or composted, and even where they do exist, then it's hard to commit to using them. It's still hard for farmers to choose or it's still easier actually for farmers to choose chemical-intensive crops for distant markets than it is to find receptive local markets, from individuals to institutions that prioritize local, fresh, and organic in their menu planning. The two areas where behaviors are actually worsening relative to our 2010 goals are stewardship of our waterways and use of pesticides in our food production. And maybe, just maybe, there is a correlation to be drawn here. If we reduced our chemical use and farmed with attention to watershed protection, for example, planting perennial hedgerows on farm edges that are normally not cultivated, and therefore keep soil and inputs from running off into creeks and into waterways, we would have healthy waterways as well as farms. As an organic farmer, I know it is possible to grow food without chemicals. And as a mother, I know it's important to keep such pesticides out of my children's bodies. And as a community member, I want to know our shared resource of waterways are free of fertilizer-laden sedimentation. We've all heard about the dead zone in the Gulf as a result of agricultural chemicals, not an oil accident. While accidents can be prevented, they are still accidents. There is no excuse for preventing a problem that we know is preventable. So we need to enact legislation that provides whatever organic carrot or sustainably harvested stick approaches that are available to help our farming friends in the county reduce chemical use. We also have the power to affect farming practices by how we vote with our food dollars. As a farmer, I have seen incredible shifts in public interest in knowing where their food comes from. If we respond well to this demand, I firmly believe that more farmers will increase their interest in organic production and shift more land to growing crops to supply this increased demand for local food. So in keeping with personal behavior change as the most powerful vehicle for reaching our broader social change goals, I want to ask all of you to have at least one item on Thursday's dinner that comes from an organic local farm. Can you commit to that? Yeah. You can find, yes, you can find such items as winter squash, root crops, greens, braising greens that would complement any entree on your Thursday dinner. And if all the farms sell out of such foods this year, then they'll plant more next year. And that means more acres in organic local production. It's all very exciting and, most important, delicious and simple, effective supply and demand here. Today I'm very grateful to have gotten the opportunity to highlight how we've advanced on the majority of goals of taking care of our natural environment. And looking forward, I see you have set a new goal of addressing the social issue of access and affordability. To that end, it is important to continue to expand programs that encourage use of food benefits, such as SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, formerly known as the Food Stamp Program, at farmers markets throughout Santa Cruz County. It would also be incredibly meaningful to develop more community gardens and school gardens and support efforts to bring new, young, limited resource farmers into stewardship of our county and land trust protected farmland. We can and should, for multiple benefits, look forward to increasing our county's self-sufficiency of basic nutrition. It really is a public health agenda as much as a way to protect and enhance the natural environment. So let's all keep up the good work and continue to deepen our commitment to ever more wise stewardship of our precious lands, water, and air that we all share. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. It's great to be here today. I just wanted to first start off by congratulating the community heroes. I'm Manny Solano with the Watsonville Police Department, here today to talk about the public safety goals. Let me first just talk to you a little bit about what those goals were. The community goals highlighted in the 2010 public safety section of the report are: number one, by the year 2010, crime within Santa Cruz County will continue to decrease and residents will have increased confidence in their personal safety at home and in the community. Number two was, by the year 2010, children in Santa Cruz County will live in safer families and communities. And you know, I like to stay optimistic when we look at this. First of all, I just want to use the analogy of a dartboard. I like to say that we're on the dartboard, we just need to continue to focus and move closer to that bullseye. I'm going to start off by just highlighting some of the safety findings and then give a brief summary, starting with the overall crime rate in Santa Cruz County from 2000 to 2009. The CAP project measures serious felony crime, both violent and property, for all areas of Santa Cruz County. The report focused on the benchmark year 2000 compared to 2009 and measured increases and decreases in crime rate. I want to point out when we talk about crime rate that crime rates are indicators of reported crimes standardized by population. The total crime rate increased 12% and went from 34 crimes per 1,000 persons in the year 2000 to 38.5 crimes in 2009. In contrast, the state of California crime rate fell 16% during the same period. The Santa Cruz County violent crime rate fell 3%, while the property crime rate increased 15%. So property crime really drove up this number. The violent crime category consists of willful homicide, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault. The rate of robberies increased 23%, while rapes declined 27%. The property crime category that consists of arson, burglary, theft, and larceny increased 15%. Every crime classification within the property crime category showed a crime rate increase for the period surveyed. Arson was up 45%, burglary 12%, larceny 11.5%, and motor vehicle theft was up 55%. Next, the overall crime rate changes for the surveyed cities, that is violent and property crimes per 1,000 population. The city of Capitola had an 8% increase in overall crime, city of Santa Cruz a 12% increase, and Santa Cruz County unincorporated areas experienced a 15% increase. As for the decreases, the city of Scotts Valley had a 23% decrease, while the city of Watsonville had a 2% drop in overall crime. The rate of reported domestic violence for Santa Cruz County areas fell 13.5%, that's good news, while the California rate fell 21%, even more. So we're a little behind the state average, but we're doing better in that area. When talking about law enforcement strength, the number of people served by one police officer fell 3% from 750 persons per officer in 2000 to 730 persons per officer in 2009. 3 cities did see an increase, though, in the number of persons per officer. Watsonville had the largest increase at 32%. Scotts Valley had a 19% increase, and the city of Santa Cruz an 8% increase in officer strength. Let's look at the arrests in the county. More than 56% of Santa Cruz County inmates at the jail were Caucasian, with 37% Hispanic. The juvenile arrest rate for all the Santa Cruz County jurisdictions remained the same. The juvenile felony arrest rate increased 21%, while arrest rates for misdemeanor crimes fell 7%. Juveniles between the ages of 14 to 17 years comprise of 91.5% of all juveniles arrested in Santa Cruz County areas. The rate of adult drug arrests have increased nearly 20% from 2000 to 2009, while the juvenile drug arrest rate increased 22%. 20% of the adult drug arrests, both felony and misdemeanor, were for marijuana, while 80% of the juvenile drug arrests were for marijuana. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in my summary. Regarding fire department responses, the number of fire and medical related calls for service responded by Santa Cruz County fire districts increased from 2004 to 2009. In contrast, the average response time to high priority calls for service decreased for most fire districts. So we're experiencing more fire calls, but the fire department's getting there quicker. In the area of elder abuse, the rate of elder abuse in Santa Cruz County nearly doubled, although the rate appears to be on a decline over the last 3 years. In summary, when talking about the teen arrests and drug use, although juvenile arrests remain the same from 2000 to 2009, Santa Cruz County law enforcement agencies were arresting more juveniles for felony crimes and less juveniles for misdemeanors. While juvenile narcotic arrests dropped significantly, the use of marijuana increased 54%. We should look at what we've been doing with regard to alcohol and youth binge drinking and apply a similar strategy to this problem. An example is the work that was done by the United Way, who led the charge to fight against binge drinking and encouraging things like the social host ordinance and crackdown on youth access to things like alcohol and tobacco. As for the adult arrests and drug use, law enforcement agencies are arresting more adults and juveniles for drug crimes. It was up 20%. With the rise in narcotic use, we recommend we use and work together to maintain a balance of intervention, education, coupled with strict enforcement and suppression. Over 70% of Santa Cruz inmates were repeat offenders, so we need to do more to intervene in dangerous life-controlling issues like supporting more drug and affordable drug treatment programs and facilities. In the area of elder abuse, more education and awareness on the subject of elder abuse would be beneficial. We encourage more people to certainly report abuses and to work with their local police agency and the Office of Adult Protective Services. And sometimes a lot of the different things that we're talking about here in other categories can play into this in terms of the economic stressors, drug abuse and addiction, are sometimes behind this problem. So a lot of the issues we're talking about here can impact one another. Regarding domestic violence, as I mentioned, we are making a difference. However, we cannot let up. We need to continue to work towards supporting and preventing this type of problem in our community and to support the victims of domestic violence as much as possible. With regard to violent gang-motivated crime, I know this wasn't particularly highlighted in this report, or at least this section of the report. I do understand it may be in the social section of the report you're going to hear next. But it's something many are certainly concerned about. We must continue to work together collaboratively with groups like BOSTA. That's a group known as the Broad-Based Apprehension, Suppression, Treatment, and Alternatives. It's a long acronym. But it's a very valuable group that's been going on for over, well, nearing 20 years now in South County, and it's being looked at and modeled for North County. And again, what it is, it's a comprehensive approach to dealing with the subject of gangs and problems with our youth. This idea brings together all sectors of resources to identify problems, implement solutions, track successes, and assist our public safety partners in reaching our community goals. And right now, some are even exploring the idea of bringing back the County Criminal Justice Council, which is an independent body committed to leading the criminal justice system through a collaborative approach that supports the idea of an effective system that is fair, efficient, and accountable. Enough can't be said about the need for community involvement. Projects like National Night Out, that was highlighted in the beginning page of the public safety section, is just one example of how we need to continue to support and encourage community involvement when dealing with public safety issues of all kinds. Lastly, I just want to end by saying thank you to United Way, Applied Survey Research, and to everyone who had a part in this report. The valuable study helps us focus our limited resources wisely, identifies critical needs in our communities, and helps us to better the quality of life for everyone in this county and in the community. And with that, let me introduce Betty Saxon for a report on the social environment. Betty?
Good morning. How are we doing out there? We're doing okay? Does anybody need to stand up? We've been listening for a long time here. Okay, I'm Betty Saxon with AT&T External Affairs. I've been here for about 5 years on the Central Coast. That I am extremely grateful for. And just recently, I've been assigned here for another 2 years. So I look forward to knowing more of my citizens and good friends here in Santa Cruz. Okay, so the social environment of Santa Cruz. So first, you know, I had to think about that. Like, social environment, well, of course I'm social, but what does that really mean? A person's social environment includes their human relationships, their living and working conditions, income levels, educational background, and they are all a part of the community. All of these have shown to be a very powerful effect with people. So having defined what that is, let's talk about the social environment here in Santa Cruz. Okay, voting 86.7. What we're looking at is trends about whether or not you're concerned with your political issues. According to this, you are. You demonstrate, as though I really didn't know that, right? So the trends are still going upward. You demonstrate that the citizens of Santa Cruz County care about their political community and environment. Since the year 2000, registered voter turnout from the primary, general, or special elections have been consistently higher in Santa Cruz County than anywhere else in California. So that's a good thing, yeah. Okay, so here was the next one of the other measures. Now, how much do you really know about the local government? I mean, you can be concerned, but are you really reading? Do you really know what those issues are? And so, of course, 85.8% of the respondents reported that, oh yeah, we know. Well, yeah, very much, and also somewhat knowledgeable about local government issues. If we broke this down racially, though, you know, which sometimes you have to do that because then you're finding where you may have to do a little additional work. So if we break it down that way, then of course of the Caucasian group, you were at 70.1%, and the Latino was just a little lower, but not significantly. But that's just something you just need to keep an eye on to watch. Okay, so let's talk about social concerns. You know, I think that, you know, after having to come up after the chief from Watsonville, you know, I was like, well, I don't want to say anything else bad, because gee whiz. But there are some concerns that we really still need to take a look at, and hate crimes is one of them. The California Department of Justice shows that between 2000 and 2008, Santa Cruz County saw an increase in that number of hate crimes. These hate crimes are along the lines of religion, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, and general physical and mental disability. The good news is that somehow or another there were people that began to have a finger on the pulse, and it decreased in the year of 2009. So I want to commend you for that. That means you're being socially conscious about what's going on with your neighbors. Youth activities, results are clearly drawn also between racial lines. Caucasian respondents were that significantly more likely that to believe that their child had enough after-school activities. So, despairingly so, 86.6 Caucasian families said, yeah, my kids have enough activities for after school and on the weekends, whereas 67.4% of Latinos were concerned about whether or not there were enough activities for their children. We're almost coming here to an end. The people served by the food bank. This was a double coin kind of thing. Here it is that the Second Harvest Food Bank of Santa Cruz saw an increase from 32,000 in 2003 to 48,000 in 2009. The good thing about it is that you rose up to help those people who were in need. So please commend yourself for that. Yes, there were a lot of families who were unemployed during this time, could not find work, but you cared enough, Santa Cruz County, to make sure that they had a place to go to get food and to get warm blankets. Okay, so I always like to leave you with a good note. And the question was, well, what do you like most about Santa Cruz County? Okay, I'm like, yeah, sure, that was a difficult question. It's the quality of life here. It's the scenery. It's the family and friends, excuse me, and the quiet peacefulness of this area. So, excuse me, I should have gotten that water when you asked me, right? 72% stated that you truly enjoy the quality of life that is here. So on a closing note, I shall tell you a story about a family that reached out to me that is from your community. I live in Monterey County, and I'm in Carmel. My daughter recently was accepted to a high school that focuses in on the sciences. So we were really glad about that, but that's down in Los Angeles. So she left her dog with me. And I have to travel quite a bit. And I realized that it's not just about human beings, about quality of life. It's also about animals and pets. And when I would come home after being gone so long, he'd look at me with those little brown eyes like, are you gonna take me out now? So anyway, I realized that I was gonna have to have him adopted. I did not find the family in Monterey County. I found the family here in Capitola. So they have Solomon. His new name is Inu. So if you guys see him, he's a Shiba Inu. And Kim Ha, are you here today? Would you stand, please? So if you see Kim Ha with the dog, please welcome her and also the Shiba. Thank you, Santa Cruz. You are truly wonderful people.
So we're going to move into the heroes part of our agenda today, but first I want to thank all 6 of our speakers. You know, it occurred to me as I was listening to them that the whole community assessment project really is an act of bravery. Because when you get out there and you measure things and you see how things are going, there's really nowhere to hide. The truth is right there in front of you. And I want to thank our speakers for bringing that truth to us, both in terms of things that we've achieved that are working well and things that are challenges that we need to do better in. And what I really liked is each of the speakers brought something in terms of their own ideas. And it's that kind of local innovation that I think is so strong here in Santa Cruz County. But I do want to thank particularly Dr. Barbara Palla for subtly integrating hip hop into her presentation on health with such phrases as community immunity and immunization saturation. So well done. So now as we move into the community heroes part of our agenda, we're going to talk about the people who are helping us kind of move the ball downfield. You know, we established some goals in 2006. We're taking a look at where we stand now in 2010, and these are the folks who have helped us get somewhere. I do want to once again thank Santa Cruz Sentinel for sponsoring the annual contest to identify people in our community who are worthy of this recognition. And Donna and I are going to introduce them to you, and we'll call them by name, ask them to come on up, and then please hold your, I know it's going to be hard, please hold your applause until we're through calling everyone up. Let's start with health. And our goal is, by the year 2010, Santa Cruz County residents will have improved access to primary, specialty, and emergency medical services. Appropriate planning and training will have been accomplished for medical response to disasters. So let's ask Dr. David Mcnutt forward. And Dr. Mcnutt has devoted his entire medical career to working for the betterment of the community's health. He served as Santa Cruz County's public health officer from 2000 to 2005. And then began volunteering for numerous community causes. He developed a medical reserve corps to serve Santa Cruz County in the event of a disaster that required a public health response. And he recruited and trained participants for this program, which is now one of the largest medical reserve corps in California and serves as a model throughout the state. Next, I want to call Patty Mcfarland, Central California Alliance for Health. Thanks to Patty's support and leadership, thousands of local children have access to the health care they need and deserve. She has been instrumental in the success of the Healthy Kids program since its inception in 2004. Her financial expertise, she's the CFO, contributed to the design of the program and accurate projections that formed the basis for fundraising goals and plans. Initial support and subsequent community investment totals over $10 million in the Healthy Kids program of Santa Cruz County. So Healthy Kids has enrolled over 4,000 children in coverage and an additional 11,000 in Medi-Cal and Healthy Families. And here's a quote. Patty isn't one to seek out the limelight. You saw her try to sit down after we called her up. But Healthy Kids is delighted to nominate her for the critical expertise she provided to our program in those crucial early days, and for her ongoing personal generosity to Healthy Kids ever since. Donna.
Also in the health field, our goal is that the prevalence of childhood obesity in Santa Cruz County will be reduced by 5%. I'm trying to reduce my own that much as well. So. I'd like to introduce Willie Elliott Mckay and Paul Belageau. Paul worked for the County of Santa Cruz for over 30 years within the Human Services Department, which manages the administration of public benefits for low-income people. Paul started as an eligibility worker and ended his career there as the manager of the county's benefits call center. Paul worked throughout his career with the county to provide local residents with access to public benefits as well as tools for the development of their job skills and self-sufficiency. After his retirement, Paul worked as the director of programs at Second Harvest Food Bank, where he shared his expertise in food stamp regulation, program management, and budget analyses. He was a co-chair for the Central Coast Hunger Coalition and a member of the Go for Health Steering Committee. He recently retired from Second Harvest, but continues to be involved in food bank activities. Willie has had a tireless dedication to the cause of feeding children and adults in need since 1978. He was the founding staff person of Second Harvest Food Bank, the oldest food bank in California, and worked his way up from truck driver to purchasing agent to CEO. He is a founding member of America's Second Harvest, now Feeding America, which is the National Food Bank Network. He co-founded Ag Against Hunger and organized networks of neighborhoods and churches, pantries in Santa Cruz County. He is a champion for a paradigm shift to nutrition food banking. Thanks. In the economy, our goal is to increase the annual median family income by a higher percentage than the Bay Area Consumer Price Index. In this area, I'd like to honor Michael Paul, President and CEO of Goodwill Industries. Michael? Yes, it's hard not to clap, right? In 2009, Michael's vision and ongoing leadership enabled Goodyear to meet the needs of more than 6,400 people and their families, and more than 6,500 people in 2010. This is an increase of 240% in services since 2008. In 2009, Goodwill opened 5 additional one-stop career centers that provide free job placement assistance to more than 500 unemployed and underemployed people. In partnership with many Central Coast human resource agencies, Michael and Goodwill Industries also work to create jobs for individuals with reduced or no income. Additionally, under Michael's leadership, Goodwill broke ground for a new facility on 41st Avenue, which will ensure a permanent, accessible location for Goodwill's School of Cosmetology and retail store.
All right, let's talk about education now. The goal for the year 2010, more schools will have pre-kindergarten programs available for all children. Let's welcome Cynthia Wells. Cynthia's passion, dedication, and commitment enabled Santa Cruz Community Counseling Center's Head Start to increase services to children ages 0 to 5 years by 40%, and to bring services to previously unserved areas of the county. In addition to devoting time and energy to Head Start and early Head Start programs, Cynthia created a successful strategy to ensure that the Community Counseling Center's internal programs work in concert to provide excellent results. Cynthia's nominator wrote, a quote, "Her vision for effective early child development and young parenting skill development has been an inspiration. Her ability to work closely with other programs such as First Five, Community Bridges, Second Harvest, child care centers, and school districts not only highlights our community's collaborative strengths, but shows her vision and belief that we in Santa Cruz County are much more than simply the sum of our parts," unquote. Okay, working towards the same goal, Santa Cruz, Soquel, and Westside Parent Education Nursery School, I'll talk about this as PENS, teachers, Jean Carriere, Corey Chirk, Maggie Klepp, Nancy Samsel, Dara Thornton, Kim Woodland, and Wendy Wyckoff. Come on up. With over 150 years of combined teaching experience, think about that, these remarkable individuals have helped thousands of local adults cultivate stronger parenting skills, nurtured parents' leadership and community building expertise, and provided the highest quality preschool experience for young children in order to prepare them for elementary school and beyond. Their skill and commitment to parent and children has had a lasting effect on our community. Quote, "Words are not adequate to explain how much these teachers mean to the children and parents of Penns, even long after the children have graduated from preschool and long after those parents have graduated too."
So neat. In the natural environment, our goal is that the health of rivers and the ocean is improved by reducing erosion, reducing pollution, and increasing summer stream flows. We have two heroes in this area. Julie Barrett Heffington, director of the Seymour Discovery Center at UC Santa Cruz Long Marine Lab. Julie has been the director of the Seymour Center since it first opened its door in 2000. The center welcomes approximately 60,000 people every year. Thanks to Julie's vision and leadership, all learn about the living treasure right off our coast while gaining a deep appreciation about the ocean, its importance in our lives, and the pivotal role it plays in the health of our planet. Julie is an inspirational leader at the Seymour Center to staff and volunteers, and above all, she is enthusiastic and a dedicated educator. This year, Seymour celebrated its 10th anniversary. We opened a new shark tank. It's very exciting. And under Julie's leadership, it will continue to provide exciting educational experiences to young and old alike. Chris Beal, Executive Director of Watsonville Wetlands Watch. Wow, that's a tongue twister. After a long career in public school administration, Chris easily transferred her skills to be a passionate advocate for the environment with the Elkhorn Slough Foundation and as Executive Director of the Watsonville Wetlands Watch. As the Executive Director of WWW, Chris facilitated the development of vigorous environmental education program for area school children, led successful conservation and restoration efforts in the Watsonville wetlands and slough systems, and wrote a number of grant applications to support WWW and its mission. Chris's organizational skills have enriched the Wetlands Watch program by blending the efforts of staff and volunteers and by enhancing the agency's outreach and fundraising efforts. She is a tireless advocate for our area wetlands. In the GO area, that single passenger auto use be reduced by improving cyclist safety, increasing miles of bike lanes, and increasing use of public transportation. Let's honor Barry Michael, the bicycle trip. Barry Michael has worked tirelessly to promote the advantages of bicycles riding to children and adults in Santa Cruz County. 10 years ago, she launched Bike Smart, a safety education program to teach important bike safety skills to area school children. Last year, Bike Smart reached over 2,200 students throughout Santa Cruz County. In addition, Barry developed Project Bike Trip, which is dedicated to providing comprehensive academic and community bicycle education for youth and adults. Bike Shop at School provides teaching materials and raises funds needed to provide classrooms with bikes and tools so students receive career technical training. Recently, you may have heard about the Frequent Bike program at Galt Elementary School. Yet another Barry Michael program. Barry is active in sponsoring the local Amgen Tour, the City of Santa Cruz Bike Part, and numerous other programs related to cycling throughout Santa Cruz County.
Donna, I'm finding that by hanging out behind the heroes, the photographers are taking pictures that may, in fact, end up including me.
You may be a
so,
hero, yes.
Go easy on the Photoshop. Let's talk now about public safety. And our goal is by the year 2010, crime within Santa Cruz will continue to decrease and residents will have increased confidence in their personal safety at home and in the community. Our first hero is Debra Elston, founder of Santa Cruz Neighbors. Debra Elston founded Santa Cruz Neighbors to create open dialogue between community members, the city, county, and others. For many years, she's arranged for community meetings to make neighbors aware of community problems and motivate them to work together to make Santa Cruz neighborhoods safe and welcoming for city residents. They have tackled serious issues including murder, theft, and other crimes in graffiti areas in need of cleanup. Debra has arranged block parties and speakers from city and county offices to inform neighborhood groups of community problems and to gain a better understanding of efforts on the part of local government to solve these problems. Again, in the area of public safety, goal by the year 2010, children in Santa Cruz County will live in safer families and community. And let's recognize Nancy Sherrod, Executive Director, CASA. Throughout her career, Nancy has maintained a personal and professional commitment to children and families, as evidenced through her work as a parent educator at the Child Development Resource Center, manager of Spectra Arts. I still remember my kids bringing home those beautiful Spectra things. In education program at the Cultural Council, and deputy director at Community Bridges, where she helped to initiate 2 comprehensive one-stop family resource centers for residents of Santa Cruz County. Nancy has served as the executive director of CASA since 2005. For the past 2 years, she's overseen the development of the Independent Living Advisors that provides older youth with the skills they need to transition from foster care to independent living. The program connects youth with the tools, support, and encouragement they need to procure housing, find transportation, stay in school, find a job, and care for themselves mentally and physically. In December, Nancy will retire from CASA. One coworker wrote, quote, "We feel there could be no more fitting tribute than for Nancy to be recognized as the community hero she truly is." And finally, in public safety, Javier Diaz, Community Restoration Project. Javier has various roles at the Community Restoration Project, including coordinator for reforming education, advocating for leadership, a youth group focused on building leadership skills. He's also a crew supervisor and job developer at the Evening Center, providing youth with an opportunity to contribute to the community by participating in beautification projects while meeting their community service requirements. Javier advocates for area youth and provides workshops on job readiness, rites of passage, and character development. And those who know him understand that Javier is willing to meet them where they are, regardless of the situation. One person wrote, quote, "Javier leads by example, and youth in all the programs look to him as their role model."
Isn't it great we have so many heroes? Yeah. In the social environment area, our goal, that more people be educated and engaged in activities that strengthen our community and civic life. I'd like to honor Bob Katz and Leola Lapides. Bob and Leola moved to Santa Cruz County in 1979 after graduating from Santa Clara University Law School. It is safe to say they never looked back. Their active volunteer work in the community has led them to serve on the boards of the Women's Crisis Support, Defensa de Mujeres, my Spanish isn't great, Kids on Broadway, Watsonville Law Center, CASA, Community Foundation of Santa Cruz County, and Temple Bethel. They are generous with their time, professional expertise, and financial contributions, and in addition, have a special interest in causes that support GLBT issues and diversity. Bob received the Roland K. Hall Award for Outstanding Community Public Service in 1990, and in 2007 received the Pro Bono Award from the Santa Cruz County Bar Association for service to the poor, elderly, and disenfranchised. In our goal area, that families and children will have access to the information, resources, and support they need to succeed. Let's honor Leticia Mendoza, Executive Director, Watsonville YWCA. You know, some of you can come up here. Join us. Even as a teenager, Leticia was involved in the community. She tutored fellow high school students and helped to create Sociedad Cultural Bilingüe, the Bilingual Cultural Society, which remains a Watsonville High program to this day. As the executive director of the YWCA for over a year, Leticia's top priority is to ensure that the YW support services continue despite fiscal and economic challenges, which is harder these days. For example, when the state eliminated funding for the Latchkey program for after-school sites, Letitia partnered with the Santa Cruz County Parents Association to continue to operate the Mckay after-school program. Her leadership has also been instrumental in ensuring the expansion of services provided through the YW Teen program thanks to new partnerships and grant funding. According to a member of the YWCA Board of Directors, what sets Letitia apart is her lifelong commitment to supporting those in need. In the goal that all people in Santa Cruz will have a way to meet their basic needs for food, housing, health care, child care, and transportation, let's honor Dr. Satish Chandra, physician. The Roto Care Clinic, open every Tuesday night, provides free medical care to underserved residents of Santa Cruz County. Started 12 years ago by the Aptos Rotary Club, the clinic is staffed completely by volunteers. And for the past 12 years, Dr. Chandra has been a fixture at the Tuesday night clinics. According to one colleague, unless he is ill, he never misses. This is dedication. He is a hero. Great. Richard Crowell, Director, St. Francis Catholic Kitchen. For the past 6 years, Richard has served as the director of St. Francis Catholic Kitchen, serving meals to the homeless and hungry in our community. Richard mobilizes a large volunteer workforce to serve as many homeless individuals as arrive each day. He creates delicious and healthy meals from whatever donations individuals and restaurants appear at the kitchen. He has even been known to perform the miracle of the loaves and fishes. I suspect that's true. Richard encourages the homeless guests to seek other services to end their homelessness, but only after honoring them with a hot meal and a gracious hospitality. In the goal area that county residents with disabilities will be able to obtain services needed to support increasing options, pursue goals, and participate in community life at all levels consistent with their ability, let's honor Carol McMillan, Santa Cruz Adult School. Carol creates music and art programs that bring together people of all ages at events that promote the psychological welfare of nursing home residents by allowing residents and family members to be part of the creative process. Carol is a regular participant in the Santa Cruz Follies and recently helped to organize 1919 Days, an event designed to celebrate the 90th anniversary of the Santa Cruz Adult School. Children, parents, nursing home residents were treated to a period fashion show, vaudeville show, and silent movie and games. This spring, she worked with the residents of Driftwood Nursing Home to create an art show and sell. The event raised funds, but more importantly, raised the morale and self-esteem of the residents. In retirement, Carol continues to bring her music to nursing homes as a volunteer performer. Also in that area, Maria Rodriguez Castillo. Maria is a tireless community volunteer working to improve the lives of children and families in South County. Her roles include serving as the executive director of Survivors Healing Center, community volunteer with Alcohol Abuse Commission, and serving on the Latino Affairs Commission. Maria coordinates Walk to Stop the Silence in Watsonville. This past April marked the 4th year of this event, whose mission is to shine a light on the issue of child sexual abuse. For the past 3 years, Maria has been the disability mental health specialist for Santa Cruz Community Counseling Center's Head Start, Early Head Start program. She was recently recognized by SPIN, Special Parents Information Network, for her advocacy on behalf of children with disabilities. As a colleague wrote, "In all these ways and in so many others, Maria goes above and beyond in ensuring that families and children have access to the support they need to succeed."
So who's our Lifetime Achievement Award winner? I know whenever I felt like I had a tough job, I always go, well, at least I'm not Dick Wilson, Santa Cruz City Manager. And I've not had the pleasure of working directly with Dick, but I've read about his amazing career in the Sentinel. And over the past 29 years, Dick has provided extraordinary leadership for all aspects of muni services and community life. He guided the city through post-quake reconstruction, several economic crises, a changing local economy, and the dramatically shifting sands of Santa Cruz politics. He helped create the 911 Emergency Dispatch Center and continues to provide expert leadership, ensuring high standards and effectiveness. He also led efforts to modernize police and fire services for the city. Dick has created an atmosphere where people feel encouraged and empowered to take part in activities and strengthen our community and civic life. His professionalism, integrity, and clear dedication to public service have set the gold standard. We're honored to present Dick Wilson with the 2010 Lifetime Achievement Award. And then let's give it up one more time for these dang heroes. Okay, you've all milked this long enough, you can sit down. So we're going to take a quick look at the months to come and then adjourn for lunch. Over the past 9 months, thousands of county residents have engaged in conversations about their aspirations for our county's future, and they've selected community goals for the year 2015. And we thank the conveners of these conversations, our CAP champions, as we call them, and as we now unveil the new community goals for achievement by 2015. I'm going to ask these, not heroes, but champions, to come forward. They've agreed to continue planning with groups and individuals in our county on how we can indeed achieve these community goals. For the economy goals, convener Caleb Baskin of Baskin and Grant Law Firm. For the health goal of primary care, convener Eleanor Littman of the Health Improvement Partnership. For the health child insurance goal, convener Leslie Connor of the Health Improvement Partnership. For the health goal to reduce childhood obesity, convener the Go for Health Collaborative with United Way of Santa Cruz County. And for the education goal to be competitive in a 21st century global economy, convener Michael Watkins, Superintendent of Schools for Santa Cruz County.
For the public safety goal, that more youth will be involved in prevention and positive social activities, convener Scott McDonald with the County of Santa Cruz Police Probation Department. For the public safety goal to decrease family violence and gang violence, convener Dutron Kabibu of Papas. Santa Cruz Community Counseling Center. For the social environment goal, that more Santa Cruz residents will have access to housing and be actively engaged in improving their community through public participation, convener Joaquin Sanchez of COPA. For the social environment goal, that county residents with disabilities will be able to obtain services needed to support increasing options, conveners Doug Patrick, community volunteer, and Julie Reinhardt of Imaging Services. For the natural environment goal, that the health of rivers and oceans be improved, conveners Kirsten Liskey of Ecology Action and Karen Christensen of the Resource Conservation District of Santa Cruz County. For the natural environment goal, that the use of clean alternative energy and sustainable fuels be increased, convener Kirsten Liskey of Ecology Action again. I just want to challenge all of the conveners to really focus and let's all bring us all in together to make really positive change next year. Thank you.
So there are a couple of people who couldn't be here today. I do want to thank them. They've been instrumental in telling the story of our county's quality of life through the Community Assessment Project. They're the designer, writer, and publisher of the Summary Report magazine, and they're from Dominican Hospital's Public Relations Department. They are Jason Solis, Stephanie Miller, and Mike Lee. Packets of the Summary Report are available at the table in the lobby. Please take as many as you would like. And copies of the Year 16 2010 Comprehensive Report are also available. That's with all the data in there, and they're for sale in the lobby. We'll now enjoy our lunch, generously provided by UCSC and the Alliance. And thank you, Donna, and thank you all for attending today's press conference and celebration. Enjoy.